You know the feeling. It's dark. You're lying in bed after watching a scary movie. You keep staring at the ceiling saying there's no way that was real because it's the only way you could possibly fall asleep. Well, we did some digging and it turns out that for some of our favorite scary movies, that's not entirely true. So now you can lie in bed thinking, oh God, this could happen. It's going to happen and it's going to happen to me tonight and I'm going to die. Fun, right? You're welcome in advance.
What can you tell me about demonic possession?
The Exorcist is America's hottest TV show that's based on a series of films, that's based on a book, that's based on some things that maybe actually happened. William Peter Blatty's 1971 novel was rooted largely in the infamous case of a 14-year-old boy dubbed Roland Doe. In August 1949, the Washington Post reported that Roland had been possessed by the devil, only to be eventually freed by a Jesuit priest. According to the article, the boy was heard screaming and cursing in Latin, a language he didn't know, and recoiling from sacred objects like crosses. Roland's possession was linked to a Ouija board he'd been given by an aunt. Sound familiar?
I make the questions and he does the answers.
Now, it's tough to completely discount this story. The exorcism was said to have been performed 20 to 30 times, because if at first you don't succeed, and by multiple priests over a period of 2 months. It was witnessed by around 48 people, so I mean, this thing happened. Of course, those who have studied this case have concluded that the most likely scenario is that the boy was psychologically disturbed and throwing tantrums, or that it was a prank. For example, in one instance, the words "no school" were apparently scratched into the boy's stomach. It then went on to demand daily pizza lunches and to have class outside today. Spooky. Wisconsin serial killer Edward Gein, aka Ed, aka the Butcher of Plainfield, gained widespread notoriety after his arrest in November of 1957 for the gruesomeness of his crimes, following the death of his mother, with whom he was extremely close, like too close, like way too close. Gein committed several grisly, horrific murders, but also inspired several classic horror movies, so even Steven. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho borrowed Gein's fixation on his mother and desire to bring her back after her death.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Silence of the Lambs jumped right in the basket with his obsession over making a woman's suit out of his victims. But it's Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre who's Gein's most direct pop culture descendant. They both like to wear the faces of their victims as masks, they're both shy and socially awkward, and dominated for their entire lives by overbearing mothers, and they both love to binge the Property Brothers. Gein and Leather even share a hobby, turning corpses into trophies, keepsakes, and home furnishings. Ever wondered what the Beyond is in Bed Bath & Beyond? It's people. The real Ed Gein even told investigators that he would enter a daze when he was committing murders, much like the frenzy in which Leatherface finds himself at the end of the first Texas Chainsaw film. In the late 1970s and early 80s, more than 110 otherwise healthy American men, all descended from the same community in the Asian nation of Laos, died in their sleep. The medical mystery was first covered by the LA Times in 1981, and the story soon spread to newspapers around the nation. The illness has since been named Brugada syndrome, and the outbreak has never been fully explained. In 1981, an upstart horror filmmaker named Wes Craven read the articles and felt inspired. He wanted to move beyond stories about murderous drifters and desert dwellers to take on a monster that felt more mythic and primal, a killer who could stalk people in their dreams. Craven claims that he read one article in the 80s about a 21-year-old doctor's son who was so afraid of being attacked by nightmares that he forced himself awake for days that directly inspired the film. My nightmares have the Garbage Pail Kids in them. Several reporters have tried to track down this specific article over the years with no success, giving rise to the theory that Craven may have simply invented the connection between his film and Brugada syndrome to make for a dramatic backstory. Oh, Wes, that's so Craven. In Key West, Florida's Fort East Martello Museum, you can go and visit Robert the Doll, a super creepy human figure that was apparently cursed. It was given to painter and author Robert Eugene Otto as a gift in 1906, assumedly by someone who hated him. And it probably inspired the Child's Play movies.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Otto claimed that the doll would mutilate his other dolls, torment the family pets, and other weird stuff kids do that they don't want to get in trouble for.
You hear that, Chucky?
However, neighbors also claimed to see the doll move from room to room in the house while the Ottos were away. In the biz, that's what we call super creepy doll stuff. The creators of Child's Play obviously gave their big bad a different look from Robert, but they did borrow at least one major element from Robert's origin story. Otto claimed that one of his family's servants felt mistreated by the family and used voodoo to curse the doll. And of course, a voodoo ritual is also how serial killer Charles Lee Ray finds himself inside Chucky in Child's Play. I know. The Big Ball of Goo movie, that's based on a true story? But the answer just might shock you, because the answer is sort of. In September of 1950, 2 Philadelphia police officers claimed to have found a strange, transparent, gooey material that floated down from the sky like a parachute. When they tried to collect some of this odorless, sticky residue to investigate, the goo dissolved and evaporated. A report about the incident in the New York Times inspired the 1958 independent sci-fi horror film, The Blob, in which a mysterious alien life form arrives on Earth inside a meteorite and proceeds to devour the entire community of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. Unlike its possibly almost true cousin, the movie Blob grows larger and more red as it eats, leading some to theorize that the film is actually an allegory for communism, because it was the 1950s, and if your movie wasn't an allegory for communism, they put you in jail. There you have it, scary movies that are based on scary things. Did they actually happen? That's not the point. The point is that now they're lodged in your brain forever. So goodbye. A doll's gonna kill you in your sleep.